we've really gone, you know, between time and space and really fast to make it an event. Katradhu Tamil. In that also we have used an effect. First few days Rushes are ரொம்ப close monitor பண்ணுவேன். Don't even feel like saying no. He's one of those directors who surprises you with டக்குன்னு சொல்லி போயிட்டாருன்னா then there's no time for even a response from the audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, fully frank with Sreekar Prasad. You are watching the human form of 8 national awards. That's not how we would like to represent this legend. But sir, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thanks.
And he's been considerate enough to give us time. So adanaale avaru or sirandha manidharன்ற tagline naanga ippe kuduthrom. Getting hold of somebody like Sreekar Prasad sir for an interview. Sir, அதாவது ஒருத்தரோட ஃபில்மோகிராஃபின்னா ஒரு 10 படம் 15 படம் அந்த படங்கள்லேருந்து இருக்கிற நிறை குறைகள் எல்லாம் பேசிடலாம். 500க்கும் மேற்பட்ட படங்கள் போது அது ஒரு மகாபாரதத்தை கன்சைஸ் பண்ணி அரை மணி நேரத்துலலாம் சொல்ல முடியாது. ஸோ I'm going to try justifying your fans to a certain extent. But having started with editing, you're part of a rich family of film historians.
Right.
What was your starting point, sir, to do with anything, be it regarding films?
No, it was there's nothing planned in my life in terms of being a filmmaker actually. I've been part of a film family, so I've been to studios, I've seen how work is happening and things, but I was never intending to actually make it a career. It was very open. I did my literature because I was very interested in stories and journalism, something like that. When I was young, I was not so interested in seeing cinema actually till about the age of 12 or 13. I always avoided going to films and stuff like that. And in the particular holidays, I think maybe when I was 14 years, 15 years, over time I saw many films. That was one experience of films for me at a young age. But what finally got me into the film line was that in the literature mudichittu my family had enough to do with film. So my mother or my sister, they always wanted me to not be so much involved in films because they've seen the sort of time that goes, there's no family life and things like that, and so they're a little skeptical. So they wanted always me to be into some bank job like she was doing or anything like that. My dad actually told me that anyway you have 2 months and since till you get to your next course, Suma, just hang around and see what we are doing. It's that moment only I actually saw this whole thing as clearly as what is happening. Illana I was just avanga edho pannittu irukanga nam poi scene paakrom andha mari dhaan irundhathu. So the process like got involved. Adukapra I don't know what happened because I got so involved in that process in the 2 months. After that I've never looked back and thought, when somebody asks me like you asked what you were planning to do before or what, then I think of appadan nadandhathu indha mari. But adukapra I've just continuously been I found this whole process of editing very interesting because every day I'm seeing a new scene, new story, something very interesting. So end of the day, you're making one story, when you're seeing that 3 minutes, you're getting interested in so you want to see what's the next, like that. It's a sort of thing. That's what drives me in for cinema. The story drives me. If I go to watch a film, luckily I don't look at technicality so much unless I'm asked to look at technicalities, being part of jury or something like that. But otherwise I am able to enjoy a film, whatever the film is. I'm able to enjoy the film, like it, not like it, have an opinion on it, but I'm able to see that because I'm just looking at one story which is flowing through and enjoying it and coming out.
Sir, software illada kaalam, how traditional was the process of editing, if you can break down?
See, before the software introduced, it came around 94, 93. Before that, we actually used to get printed rushes and all that. The film form la engalukku kudupanga. Adukku sound separate irukum, film separate, picture separate irukum. Idu renduthiyum vechu we'll do a thing called parallel. So rendu film strip we'll have to physically wind it on a winder. So adha vechu and to see it we used to have equipment called Steenbecks or Moviolas through which we used to play this. Adha play panni we used to physically mark with a white pencil. Mark panni then we used to cut. So enna kaalaila ella mark panniduvom, appo director amchiduvom. Adukapra nam ukandha night ella ukandha cut pannite whatever time varaikum, night late night varaikum cut pannite appo kaalaila டைரக்டர் வந்தோடனே போட்டு பார்ப்போம். ஸோ இட் கோஸ் ஆன் லைக் தட், தட் ப்ராசஸ். ஆஃப்டர் சர்டன் பாயிண்ட் ஒரு லெங்த் ஆஃப் ஃபிலிம் வந்தப்புறம் அது எல்லாத்தையும் ஜாயின் பண்ணப்புறம் எடுத்துகிட்டு போய் வி யூஸ் டு see in theatre. ஸோ மேக்ஸிமம் என்னென்னா ஒரு ரோல் ஆஃப் ஃபிலிம் கேன் பி only 10 minutes.
ஓகே.
ஸோ எத்தனை 10 minutes வருதோ அத்தனை ரீலாக ஃபார்ம் ஆகிட்டு இருந்தது.
Sir, to a certain extent, I kind of follow a pattern in your work. I think you're obsessed with setting a rhythm to a film, நினைக்கிறேன் சார். அந்த ஒரு அச்சுபிச்சு இல்லாம clean. Are you very particular about that?
I am very particular about that because that is how I perceive a film has to be. I was lucky to actually do with various filmmakers from all over the country. I've done quite a few languages and also genres of film which are serious, really pot boilers and commercial stuff. Ellam பண்ணும்போது then you get a sense of what is realism when you're doing very artistically toned films. உங்களுக்கு என்ன தெரியுதுன்னா இதுதான் ரியல், இதுதான் நம்ம இப்படி தான் நம்ம நடந்துக்கிறது தான் அவங்க படத்தில் காமிக்கிறேன். So we try to bring that sort of realism into any film you actually do. In that these sort of things actually add as obstacles for me, like unnecessarily using effects and unless it's for a purpose. இப்போ நாங்களும் நிறைய படத்துல எஃபெக்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் யூஸ் பண்ணிருக்கோம்.
இருக்குல்ல, நீங்க ஃபிளாஷியா பண்ண ஏதாவது ஒரு பாட்டு ஞாபகம் இருக்கா? something
I've done like that. இப்போ ஆயுத எழுத்துல there's one song which is Trisha and Yaake. So in that we've really gone between time and space and we've used really fast to make it an event. But that's not the style of the film. Because other characters cannot be behaving the same way. So you have to go by the character of the film. Katradhu Tamil. In that also we have used an effect only in one particular song where he's totally drugged. If you see the whole song, the character you will see will be in a sort of a daze. So the visual also we have done an effect which the whole song he's in the daze. But that corresponds to the situation, so it doesn't stand out as just as a gimmick. And it doesn't bother you with the story.
Sir, the most exciting thing about making films வந்து the collaborations தானே சார். இந்த 500 படங்கள்ல வந்து டிஃப்ரெண்ட் மைண்ட் செட்டோட வந்து ப்ரொடியூசர் டைரக்டரோட ஒர்க் பண்ணியிருப்பீங்க. ஸோ ஹவு அந்த ஒரு கைண்ட் ஆஃப் ரஷ் இன்னைக்கு இருக்கும்ல சார்? மணிரத்னம் படம் பண்ண போறாரு, அந்த வாட்டி அந்த ஃபுட்டேஜை பார்க்கும்போது ஹவு எக்ஸைட்டிங் இட் இஸ்.
That's the most exciting phase, first time rushes பார்க்கும்போது இல்ல, how to handle this, how to get the best out of it. And so then one rhythm falls into a rhythm, slowly you start looking into we have to see the whole rushes, then we'll mark out all the good ones, good takes in that, and then we'll make it smaller and smaller, and then we'll start editing. And now I'm lucky to get the scripts early itself, so I've been collaborating with most of the directors I'm doing. So, and we take sufficient care in the first few days of shoot, because that is where the impressions of actors, performances of actors, the route they are taking, his performance level, everything comes through. Because actors also is coming from another film. In the film kulla enter ஆனோடனே இந்த கேரக்டர் மாதிரி பிஹேவ் பண்ணுறாரா இல்லையான்றதெல்லாம் பிகினிங்கில் தான் ஃபஸ்ட்டு ஃபியூ டேஸ் அது அவருக்கு செட் ஆகிடுச்சுன்னா அது அப்படியே ஃபாலோ பண்ணி ஃபுல் படம் போயிடுவார். ஸோ அதனால் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஃபியூ டேஸ் ரஷ்ஷஸை ரொம்ப க்ளோஸாக மானிட்டர் பண்ணுவேன் நான். ஸோ அப்போ என்ன ஆகும்னா இமீடியட்லி எடிட் பண்ணி பார்த்துட்டு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டே செகண்ட் டே பார்த்துட்டு செகண்ட் டே தேர்ட் டே பார்த்துட்டு இந்த மாதிரி பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கும்போது இல்லை இவர் கொஞ்சம் இப்படி பண்ணுறாரு, கொஞ்சம் இந்த கேரக்டர் நம்ம நினச்ச கேரக்டர் மாதிரி இல்லை, கொஞ்சம் இப்படிமா இதெல்லாம் பாஸ் ஆன் பண்ணுறதுக்கு ஒரு ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி கிடைக்கிது. அண்ட் இட்ஸ் மச் ஈஸியர் நவ் பிகாஸ் ஆஃப் த டிஜிட்டல் வேர் யூ கேன் கெட் யுவர் ரஷஸ் மச் ஃபாஸ்டர் தென் பிஃபோர். ஃபிலிமில் இருக்கும்போது இட் யூஸ் டு டேக் அட்லீஸ்ட் 3 days 2 days டு கெட் திஸ் ஹோல் ப்ராசஸ் டன். இப்போ விதின் த நைட் யூ கேன் கெட் த rushes, so it makes the job much easier.
So what makes you actually sign a film? ஏன்னா தானா சேர்ந்த கூட்டம் பண்ணுறீங்க, பழசி ராஜா பண்ணுறீங்க, நந்திதா தாஸோட ஒரு படம் பண்ணுறீங்க, திரும்ப தெலுங்குல போய் யூ டு காசி. What actually makes you sign a film?
Most important is everybody's got limited time. In a year you can do X number of things, and I'm not trying to do anything 24/7 because I'm not in that space of working now. I want to do some work which is of quality and where I can put enough mind and enough time and energy so that I can be fully satisfied with my work. So what the primary thing we look for is a good script, and other than that there's the other factor is question of friendship and over a period of time working. There are few people don't even feel like saying no to,
like Mani sir and Vishnu
so
and
you
A.R. Murugadas.
so we keep working with them, and it's like a process, see highs and lows and things like that. You travel with them.
God has been kind, sir. Every single time when Mani sir makes a film, you've gladly had the time to work with him.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure to work with him also, because there he's one of those directors who actually surprises you with his visuals, his point of views. So it's always a challenge, and the more challenging it is, the better we can perform. Basically, we're looking at the script, if anybody, I do lots of newcomers also in between. If the script is interesting and he's trying to make film, and he's trying to make a statement that he's arriving as a filmmaker, at many times I do support that and get into the project, irrespective of what is the scale of the project or anything, because this story needs to be told. If you feel, then you get into. That's the other.
Sir, how did Ayudha happen in terms of the narrative pattern in the film?
It was initially itself planned, script stage itself, to have it as 3 point of views and to join it one point and then go like that, 3 stories and then finale. But the difficulty is that during the process தான் தெரியும் என்னென்ன difficulty வரும். என்னென்ன இந்த ஸ்டோரியில் சொல்லும்போது அந்த கேரக்டர் இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணக்கூடாது, பிகாஸ் யூ வாண்ட் டு ஃப்ரெஷ்ஷாக. ஸோ ஹவு டு அவாய்ட் them in this story and show, இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ப்ராக்டிக்கல் ப்ராப்ளம்ஸ் எல்லாம் வரும். ஸோ லாட் ஆஃப் கேர் வாஸ் டேக்கன் while shoot also to maintain that thing. And then we wanted that connection from going from one story to another. We required it very strong, that accident. So and to also it has to be every time it comes through from a different point of view. It cannot come from the same point of view. இன்னொரு கேரக்டரோட பாயிண்ட் ஆஃப் வியூலேருந்து அந்த ஆக்சிடென்ட் எப்படி நடந்ததுன்ட்டு அங்கேருந்து இன்னொரு ஸ்டோரி இந்த மாதிரி. ஸோ தட் வாஸ் த சேலஞ்ச் இன் தட் ஃபார் அஸ். இல்லை, ஸோ வி மேனேஜ் டு புட் இட் டுகெதர் இன் 3 stories and also not give away anything in the other story about, but still maintain that the character who's going to come in the second story is also mentioned in the first story. அப்பதான் நமக்கு second storyல வரும்போது இது connection தெரியும். So we had to maintain that continuity. So that was very challenging for us.
So when there is this meticulous task of setting a POV for one particular scene, இப்போ நம்ம பேசும்போது ஒரு 2 ஆக்சிஸில் எடுப்பாங்க. இது வந்து ஓடிஎஸ் போகலாம், இது டக்குன்னு ஒரு குவிக் சஜஷன் வச்சிடலாம், இது வந்து வில் கிவ் ஒன் ஒரு எஸ்டாப்ளிஷ்மெண்ட் அப்படின்னு. ஸோ ஹவு டு யூ கோ பை தட்? ஒரு சீனுக்கு என்ன தேவைப்படுன்றதை தாண்டி அது டிரெக்டர்ஸ் காலா இல்லை எடிட்டர் ஆல்சோ கெட்ஸ் டு ஆர்கியூ?
ஷூட்டிங் அப்போ இட்ஸ் அ டிரெக்டர்ஸ் கால். Editing அப்போ you can manipulate it. If it is covered in more than number of angles, then you can decide what to keep, which makes sense for that particular moment. So that can become the editor's call to keep it from this angle in this particular scene, and next point of view you can go to the other. And the mari you can use your discretion to make it look believable actually.
ஸோ இப்போ இந்த பில்லாவில் வந்து ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஐ எம் பேக் அப்படின்னு அவர் சொல்லும் போது அப்படியே ஒரு மைல்டாக போயிட்டு ஷார்ட் அப்படியே டக்குன்னு ரிவீல் ஆகுது. அதில் வேறு ஏதாவது ஆப்ஷன் இருந்ததா இல்லை இந்த ஆப்ஷனை தான் நீங்கள்?
இல்லை, அந்த இடத்துல அவர் க்ளோஸ்லேயும் சொல்லியிருக்காரு, வைட்லேயும் சொல்லியிருக்காரு, மிட் ஷார்ட்லேயும் சொல்லியிருக்காரு. பட் நம்ம எடிட் பண்ணும்போது எது மேக்ஸிமம் இம்பேக்ட் வரும் அப்படின்னு தெரியும். அதுக்கு ஒரு இட்ஸ் அ பிக் மூமெண்ட். இட்ஸ் அ மூமெண்ட் ஃபார் த audience. If you go as a serious cinema goer, you may feel it exaggerated. But that exaggeration in the theatre, if you watch, you will know that it's not exaggeration. It will be filled up with the response of the audience. So all these also will be playing in our mind, because we are constantly watching film. So somewhere we are in tune with the audience. When I'm watching, I know exactly this moment there will be a response. That response requires that much of thing to get the response. அவர் டக்குன்னு சொல்லி போயிட்டாருன்னா then there's no time for even a response from the audience. Even if காமெடி கூட, காமெடி சொன்ன உடனே சீனை கட் பண்ணிடுவாங்க. சில வாட்டி தெரியாம கட் பண்ணிட்டாங்கன்னா அதுக்கு ஒரு சின்ன லாஃப் வர்றது என்ஜாய் பண்ணுறதுக்குள்ளே அடுத்த விஷயம் வரும். அடுத்த விஷயம் வந்ததுன்னா இதை என்ஜாய் பண்ணுறதா, அடுத்த விஷயத்தை நான் சிரிப்பில் அடுத்த விஷயத்தை நான் கவனிக்க முடியாது. ஒன்று இதுக்கு சிரிக்கணும், இல்லைன்னா அடுத்த விஷயத்தை கவனிக்கணும், ரெண்டும் பண்ண முடியாது. ஸோ அதுக்கு ஒரு பாஸ் வேணும். சோகத்துக்கும் அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பாஸ் வேணும். If I'm telling something which is very heavy and shocking, you will probably take 1 second or 2 seconds before it registers and you react. That is what, action and reaction cannot be equal in every situation. That is what we have. I be very careful when I'm dealing with, to get the maximum effect out of the drama it is basically.
ஏன்னா கத்திலையுமே அந்த ப்ரெஸ்ஸை விஜய் சார் அட்ரஸ் பண்ணும்போது வேற ஆப்ஷனே இருக்காது. யூ ஜஸ்ட் மெயின்டைன், கிவ் சம் டைம் ஃபார் த டயலாக்ஸ் டு ரெஜிஸ்டர் அண்ட் அந்த எமோஷன்.
Because that emotion, if you break, if you keep very small cuts, then you don't feel that he's performing. You see in many films also, some big stars are able to dance very well. They can actually do, and they would have practiced and done a dance. But invariably, because they shoot so much, they cut it into small pieces, the same dance, and all the angles they'll put. Editing is not about just cutting just because we have a lot of material. It's about judiciously using how much is required, and how much, even one single shot of the whole thing may be very effective compared to 25 cuts of the same thing.
That's true, that's true.
But somewhere, some places you need that. If the actors are not able to perform well, if the counter actor is not able to perform well, there can be various situations. Appo enna avuna, we'll cover it up by having number of cuts and not showing the bad actor. If there is a, suddenly one extra actor who's not able to perform, his lines are not working, he's looking very tensed, so we cover it up with the other angle, and those sort of things happen. But where performance is happening, we would rather show that. But it's film is about performances,
I always used to wonder, ஹரி சாரோட படம் நீங்க எடிட் பண்ணா எப்படி இருக்கும்? சிங்கம் 3 பாத்தீங்களா? இல்ல சிங்கம் 3 பாத்தீங்களா? அது சோ அந்த படத்துக்கு அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ட்ரீட்மென்ட் தேவைப்படுது. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள், if you had to approach that script, how would it be? So
I can't right now think of it. I don't know. My mindset also, some directors have that sort of mindset, so they would rather do that because they're expert at that sort of thing.
சார், ஃபஸ்ட்டு உங்கள் ஒர்க்கில் எந்த படத்தில் நீங்கள் ஸ்லோ மோஷன் யூஸ் பண்ணீங்கன்னு ஞாபகம் இருக்கா சார்? ஏன்னா கமிங் பேக் டு ஆயுத எழுத்து, ஏன் ஹாஸ்டல் பூந்து பையனை அடிச்சேன்னு சொல்லி கையால் அடிச்சுட்டு அப்புறம் ஒரு மைல் ஸ்லோ மோஷனில் ஹீல் ஷோ ஹவு பவர்ஃபுல் இஸ். பின்னாடி அப்படியே மெதுவாக ஆர்ஆர் வரும், அந்த சவுண்ட் டிசைன் will also overtake.
Correct. Slow motion has been there for quite some time. Film time there used to be only one fixed slow motion but then when slowly it became going towards digital opticals and so on, grading எல்லாம் went to digital opticals. அந்த டைம்ல then we had the possibilities of using half a shot at one frame slow motion and half a. That is what we tried in that fight, is all the impacts are slow. Action is fast, but the impact becomes very slow to magnify the effect of that's the way the whole fight we had composed, so that every time the whole action will be happening fast, but when the actual blow happens and he gets the shot and things like that, we use slow motion to just exaggerate that moment. As a style we had used it in that film actually.
Take this as a compliment, sir. Over a period of time, exciting films பண்ணிட்டு இவ்வளோ பேரோட ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு that the brainstorm பண்ணி நல்ல படங்கள் உருவாக்குறதுன்றது, you are absolutely blessed, sir. இல்லைனா அது over a period of time continues to do films, அதுவும் particularly a place where you can get easily bored ஆனு எனக்கு தெரியல. So
it can be that for a point, of course, in the initial part of the career it was like doing all the work that you are offered. But then as things, when you make your contacts and then you're working on different things, then you sort of, it is a little more, I went in for a variety of work, so once I'm doing a Malayalam film, then I'm doing an Assamese film. It made me not get bored with doing the same sort of thing. It was editing one particular way of films all the time. It could get tedious and it could get monotonous, and also can craft wise maybe I could be got stuck somewhere, but when you're working with different things and different genres, then your mind is always fresh, and then if not consciously, unconsciously, something good which has come out of one genre may be passing on to the another to make it better. அந்த மாதிரி.
But it's high time that national awards வந்து should make more sense to us rather than the Oscar வந்து ஏதோ ஒரு distant dream நமக்கு கிடைச்சா அதுதான் epitome and pedestal of appreciationன்ற மாதிரி நினச்சிட்டு இருக்கோம். அது how it works. But record number of 8 times உங்களோட வீட்டு ஷெல்ஃபில் 8 national awards இருக்குது. அதில் ஒன்று ஸ்பெஷல் ஜூரி 7 awards. It's a record and it's going to take a really long time. சச்சினோட ரெக்கார்ட் மாதிரி அது பிரேக் பண்ணுவாங்களா இல்லை definitely you'll be happier if somebody overpowers you in the number of times you've won. ஒரு ரெண்டாவது வாட்டி மூணாவது வாட்டி வேணா சந்தோஷப்பட்டிருப்பீங்க, ஆறாவது வாட்டி I think it's just a routine for me to win.
எப்படின்னா அவார்டுன்றது see if you're going to office, you're coming back, you're doing something and you're earning, you're living. What is that which will kick you up? Awards are like that, which kick you up to do better work. So, and it's also not something which happens immediately. You're working this year and next year you have totally forgotten and you moved on with your life, and then suddenly you get an appreciation. Any appreciation makes a technician work better. You're not working for the appreciation. I'm working on about 4-5 films now. I'm not even thinking that any of them will even go towards an award or anything like that. But when it actually comes, it gives you that sort of one push, to make you feel good about it and makes you very conscious of doing your next work, So it's a sort of a recognition.
சார் தல்வார் மாதிரி ஒரு வேர் பாயிண்ட் ஆஃப் வியூ இஸ் வெரி இம்பார்ட்டண்ட். ஒரு சீனத்து மல்டிபிள் நரேஷன்ஸ், மல்டிபிள் பர்ஸ்பெக்டிவ்ஸ், ஒரு ரஷ் இருந்துச்சு சார் அந்த படம் பார்க்கும்போது. இட் வாஸ் பிரில்லியன்ட். இட் வாஸ் டு த பாயிண்ட் அண்ட் எஃபர்ட்லெஸ் அண்ட் க்ளீன். இஃப் யூ குட் டெல் ஹவு.
தல்வார் அட் த ஸ்கிரிப்ட் லெவல் itself was a 3-point view film. That is why actually I came into the picture, because it was made by Vishal Bharadwaj, but he was not directing it. Gulzar's daughter was directing it. He wanted somebody who in the editing who could control this thing and make sure that everything comes, because it's a little complicated story. I liked the script, but I did have an apprehension that it could be repetitive after a point, because the same thing if you go on telling 3 times, audience are going to be slightly tested in times of patience. So that was expressed to him also. So we said let's go ahead with the shoot and then we'll see. So then the shoot happened, and then when the shoot happened, during the process of editing, my take was that in the first time we'll show a little more detail, the second time we'll show a little less detail, and the third time was going to be where what all have happened before we showed to the minimum, and then only the new findings we showed. That's how we treated it. Although it was shot in the same way as the whole investigation was shot 3 times, we downsized it like that, and that worked. And then initially there's a climax scene where everybody is talking about all the 3 points of views are expressed to the minister and stuff like that. It was not there in the beginning when the film was shot. It came up as a later idea to give it a finality. So this was the idea which we kept while editing the whole process.
2 last questions sir. One being, நம்ம இந்தியன் சினிமால தான் அந்த இன்டர்வல் கான்செப்ட் உங்களுக்கு அது உங்களை இரிட்டேட் பண்ணுதா இல்ல you fine with it sir?
Because of the length of the film even today, I think it doesn't irritate you right now. If you ask me for my opinion, I think it's a unnecessary thing, because you would rather see a film as a whole and enjoy it. But and also because interval is there, the whole screenplay and is being designed in such a way that you end on a high at the interval, and then you again start the story in the second part and then go for a second high. That is how we have become. Probably if interval was not there, it would be a little more organic way of storytelling, and it will be less also in terms of length, which is
like a Proust questionnaire. I make it a point to ask this to all the editors. வீட்டில் இருக்கிற மனைவி எவ்வளோ நல்லா சமைச்சாலும் ப்ளேம் பண்ணிகிட்டே இருப்போம். அதே மாதிரி அவங்க ரொம்ப நல்லா சமைச்சா we fail to credit them. அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு படத்தோட how is it okay for the editor to be blamed for the duration of the film being lengthy and it being a little boring at times? அது ஒரு எடிட்டரை ப்ளேம் பண்ணிடுறாங்க ரிவ்யூ எழுதும்போது.
It's the easiest thing, because length and the editor are the reviewer's point of view. They think that it's not actually, there are films which are very lengthy, but they are doing very well. I mean, recently even films like Dangal or I saw Drishyam and things like that were quite lengthy films. Most of the Indian films have a problem in the at the scripting stage, I feel. You know, this is what, that's why I get involved in the script, to see that how much ever can be saved at that point in terms of not shooting unnecessary things. Even then it is, you know, we have, our Indian films are such that we try to keep too many ingredients into it. It's not like one point, like an English film where they take a small point and elaborate it for 1.5 hours and show. We try, you know, that's how we are made. If you go for a meal, you want lots of items. Like that, we have got used to films also. So, you end up shooting a lot of stuff.
Material.
And then you realize that the film is way beyond what it should be. Then you try to cut it down. Now, as an editor, there are two things. One is to cut the whole thing, compress it into the given time you want it, like 2.5 hours, 2:30 or 2:15, whatever, which means that everything you cut and all the nuances are gone. But how I approach it with my directors is, don't cut it like that. If a scene is working, keep the scene. Remove sequences and cut down the story, so that if you want in 2 hours 15 minutes, we'll tell a story in 2 hours 15 minutes, where it's not about cutting each scene. Don't make a scene which is working at 2 minutes, 1 minute, just because you have a time stay. In the conflict, சிலவாட்டி என்னன்னா நல்லா இருக்கிறதெல்லாம் கச்சன்னு போயிடும், நல்லா இல்லாதது ரொம்ப நேரம் இருக்கும். அப்போ இந்த கான்செப்ட் ஆஃப் இது தேவையில்லாம ஒரு வச்சிருக்காங்க எடிட்டர் அப்படின்னு வரலாம். பட் பர்சே ஒரு படத்தை பார்த்து 2.5 hours இந்த படம் ஒர்க் ஆகலைன்னா அது லெங்க்த்னாலன்னு சொல்றது doesn't really work for me, because each subject demands a certain length, and the conviction of the director is that he wants to tell this whole story. So it doesn't actually, it's not right.
So before we close, நீங்கள் உங்களோட 500 படங்கள் மூலமாக எங்கள் வாழ்க்கையை வந்து ஸ்பெஷல் ஆக்கியிருக்கீங்க. எங்களால் முடிஞ்சது for you, sir. So fully filmy வழங்கும் ஒரு gift hamper for you.
Thanks.
And so this is a poster which you will actually like, I believe.
Nice.
Mani Ratnam sir-ஓட iconic characters and ஒரு சின்ன collage மாதிரி. இதில் பாதி படங்கள் நீங்கள் தான் சார் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க. சில்ட் அவுட்டாக ஒரு t-shirt for you, sir.
Thank you. Good.
So it says, what a lovely day. Did you like the editing in the padam, sir? Mad Max.
Yeah.
You liked the editing of it.
it.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. It's been
All
a
the
pleasure.
best.
Thank you so much. ரொம்ப ஒரு செல்ஃபிஷான ஒரு மோட்டிவ்ல உங்களை இன்டர்வியூ பண்ணோம். அப்படி பர்சனலாக லேர்ன் பண்ணிக்கலாம் உங்ககிட்ட சிலதுன்னு. One of the biggest of the contributors to the industry, sir. Thank you so much. So for more videos, please watch Fully Filmy, and to get a hold of our merchandise, please visit www.fullyfilmy.in. Signing off with Sreekar Prasad, sir. Bye.